fun.
And 7 birds come in, they gobbled hard this morning.
Hey guys, welcome back to Outdoors with the Common Man. You know me, I'm Coyote, and we got our junior hunter here, Hope, aka Junior. And today we're going to go ahead and do the basics of bow practice and bow shooting, how to sight in a bow, and just how to get yourself ready for the bow season for beginners and for everybody. It's always good to get back to the basics before season starts. Alright guys, so we're just going to go over the basic setup and points of a basic compound bow for you. This is Junior's first compound bow. It's not the fanciest thing in the world, but it's great to start with because it went all the way down, I think, to like 15, 25 pounds, and it'll go all the way up to, I do believe, 50. 70. Okay, apparently I just got told it'll go all the way to 70. Like I said, this is not my bow. So, when you go to start, when you pull it out, and when you go to start shooting for the day, you want to check the screws on your cams. You want to make sure that your string has no fraying on it and is nice and, you know, looks legit and good. You want to make sure that your peep sight is where it should be and isn't twisted or anything. You want to check to make sure that your front stabilizer and wrist sling are all nice and tight so that it doesn't fall apart on you. You also want to check that your arrow rest, whether you have a whisker biscuit, a drop away, or a simple tri-stand like she has on this one, are all set and is not wobbling, because that could affect your shots. Same with your sights. You want to make sure your sights are all nice and tight and isn't wobbling, because that'll affect your shot. And make sure that if you're going to go ahead and use the side quiver that attaches to the bow, to make sure that that's on and in locked position and at the proper height that you want it at. And once you got through those steps, you just want to check and make sure that your riser bolts are nice and tight and they're not loose. That'll really screw up your shooting, plus it'll make different weights, whether it be on the top or the bottom. And once you have that all checked, then basically you're set and ready to start shooting. But before you go ahead and shoot, you're going to want to go ahead and get your release, whether it be like the ones that we have that are the ones that are attached to the wrist that have a simple trigger release. Mine's by True Ball. It's a decent release. Theirs are the same types. That or you have the old, you know, you have older ones that are just, well, they're actually the newer style. These are actually old styles that are tension based. You have ones that look like almost like a reverse pair of brass knuckles that just have a thumb release on them inside your wrist or inside your grip. So whatever one you choose, it's up to you. Everybody's got a different style. I prefer these ones over the other ones because I like having that back wall when I go to shoot and not accidentally gripping too hard or something and then it's shooting off when I don't want it to. But once you got everything checked and you're all set and ready, if you're going to go to a range or something like that, make sure to have your safety colors on and just make sure that people know that you're there, so when everybody's around having fun, that nobody's getting hurt. So without further ado, we'll get into actually showing you how to stand and get ready to actually fire your first arrow. Alright guys, there's one final step before you go ahead and start shooting. You always want to double check your arrows, whether the tips are on nice and tightly. You're not going to use broadheads until, you know, you're doing your final sight-ins for the actual field. And we're not going to do broadheads today because we're at an archery range and I'm not going to screw up their targets using broadheads. We'll do that maybe another time, but usually you're going to find a broadhead that's going to be almost the same weight and grain as the field tip you're using, and it shouldn't really deter your arrow in really much shape or fashion when you go to fire that, because it's going to be the same weight in the front with the kinetic energy of the same weight pulling that arrow as the same one as you're already using. So I'm going to go ahead and steal her bow from her while she goes ahead and checks that the arrow is straight, that the flights are still nice and good, that the nock is still safely secured, and that the arrow tip itself, whether it be bullet, field, or any other type, as long as it's not completely inserted and glued in, if it's a screw-in type at all, make sure it's completely tight so that when we when we do go ahead and let her loose some arrows here in a couple of seconds, that it's not a danger to anything or anybody around. So I'll grab her bow, and she's going to go ahead and check her arrows. She's going to make sure the tip is nice and tight still. She's going to make sure her flights are straight ish, because they're practice arrows. After you sing it a couple times, she's making sure her nock's nice and tight, and she's going to make sure her arrow shaft itself is reasonably straight and not curved one way or the other. Because obviously that's going to hurt if you go to actually shoot it, and if it's curved to the left and you're wanting to shoot straight, it's going to go out and immediately curve deadly to the left. So as long as she knows that her arrows are good. They good?
Yes.
Then I'm going to hand her back her bow, and we'll get to getting her set up, showing you how she should stand properly. We'll get the rangefinder out. You should have a rangefinder in your bow kit. Plain and simple. It's the easiest way, and we'll show you guys how to start learning how to actually range it and then be able to judge it by eye from there. So we'll go ahead and get set up here in a minute, and we'll be right back. Alright guys, so we're standing here now. We're getting ready to go ahead and range find out the first target for her and start getting her bow set up and sighted in for 20 yards. At the club that we belong to, they already went ahead and put a 20, a 30, and a 40 yard pin out here so that we can know exactly where we're going for. I know this one's at 20 yards, but I'm still going to go ahead and range find it and do all the good stuff because I'm showing you guys what you should do. Now, a rangefinder is something that every good hunter should have in their bag, whether you be bow hunting, rifle hunting. It's just good all around for anything. They come in a ton of different prices, ton of different companies out there make them. Find one that's a good, respectable company, or at least, you know, ask your buddies. Do you guys have one? What company did you go with? How much did you pay for it? I like this one. It's, I don't know how to say this word, guys, but it's an AOFAR is how you spell it. And it costs about $100. I think we got it on Amazon. And I've never had a problem with it. I've had one battery in it, and I've had it for 3 seasons now, and I haven't had to replace the battery yet. Bless you. So we're going to go ahead and range find this out. We already know it's 20, but I'm going to go ahead and do it for you and for her as well. And I'm also going to have her do it so that when she finally gets her rangefinder, she'll know how to actually work one decently. Mine's already set up for yardage. It has 2 buttons. It has a mode button and a power button. I hit my power button, it turns it on. I hit it again when I'm pointing down, the laser goes down, comes back, and tells me how far it is. So it's just simple as putting it up to the eye, finding where you want, turning the power on, hitting the button, 20 yards, says it right inside. I'm going to hand it to her. I'll hold her bow real quick. This first button right there, point it at that first target, click it. What's it say?
19.
So you're a little somehow closer than I am somehow. So that's fine. An exact yardage is good. I'd love that everybody, that pin is at 20 yards. I just range find it and it's right in the middle of my body. It's just, there could have been a bug that flew in a yard in front of that and the laser hit that. 19, 20, 21 yards, it's all going to basically shoot the same. If you're going to a competition and you're going, you know, shooting the exact spots over and over and over, you got to get a little more precise with that. But in basics of hunting, if you've got a target at you that's at 19, 20, or 21 yards, a 20-yard pin will still be a kill shot on that animal. So I'm going to hand her bow back, and then we'll be back in another second, and we'll go over the next step. Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and have her knock up an arrow. And I tend to do, if you got flights and your arrows are just store button, let me see this real quick so I can show them. Ah, there we go. Most of the time your knocks, if they're just bought from like your local Walmart or something, are not going to match. This one matches up with this odd colored flight. A lot of people, you know, it all depends how you want to do it. But a lot of people shoot with the flight down, the odd color, like I do that. Now I've got other people that shoot with that odd color pointing towards the opposite of their pull hand. And some of them will actually do it up. It's all your personal preference, really. I don't see how, but you want this knock to line up with the odd colored flight, in my opinion. I'm not an expert at this. I'm just showing you the basics for beginners today. So we'll go ahead and give it to her. There's a target at 20 yards. We're going to go ahead and have her shoot at the target, and then we're going to see how we have to move it from there for her. So she's going to pick, this bag down here has several different animal pictures on it. She's going to pick one, let us know which one it is, and that way we can see how far off, up, down, left, right, or as they call it, elevation and windage, that she is, and then we'll correct it and go from there. So without further ado, take it away, Junior.
Use your 20 pin.
I hit the talkie. Well, tried to hit the talkie.
All right, so you were going for the turkey?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm going to walk down. She's going to stay where she is. She's got her binoculars. She should be able to tell me how low she is and how far off to the left or right she was from the target, where she was aiming at it. Pro tip for hunters with glasses. Might have to remove them in order to use binoculars. Bow slings come in handy, guys, but you're going to have to learn to be multi-ambidextrous when you're hunting anyways. So that's why I don't personally use one. We'll eventually get one for her and for the producer. So if you're aiming at the middle of the turkey on there, how far low do you think you are? And then how far left or right from that are you?
I don't know.
All right, I will walk up and
I
check.
can't see the arrow.
All right, guys, so at 20 yards, she was aiming for this turkey, and she was aiming for the kill zone on the turkey, which is usually the middle of the rib cage, so you don't ruin breast meat on it. And she hit about an inch to an inch and a half low. Usually your finger is about a half an inch wide. It's an easy way to judge. So we need to take her 20-yard pin, and we actually need to move it down a little bit so that when she goes to aim, it raises her arm. When it comes to bows, everything is backwards. Or no, it's straight on the way it should be, my bad.
Follow it.
You follow the arrow. If you're hitting low on the target, you move your pin down. If you're aiming high, move it up. If you're aiming left, move it, but generally, she's good. She's almost dead center, and you're never going to be exactly dead on, perfect every time without all the special attachments that you see these guys have on the bow shoots with the extra stabilizer that's 3 foot long in the front and 2 of them that are 1.5 feet, 2 foot long on the back. And this is basics bow hunting for hunting. Basic bow shooting for hunting, guys. So we're going to go ahead and get the Allen key out that's for her bow. And we're going to take her 20-yard pin, and we're just going to give it a tiny little skosh, because the littlest bit does more than you think it would on a bow. If you literally click your bow and like, oh, I'm going to move it an inch, that 20-yard pin would be set up for like 100 yards. So we're going to go back, set it up, and then go again. But before I do that, I'm going to have her fire another arrow to make sure it wasn't her dropping her hand or anything like that. And we'll go through the basics of follow through and everything like that once I get this sighted in, so that you guys can see what how it's supposed to properly be done. So we'll catch you in a second. All right, guys, so before I let her shoot her second arrow, I want to just quickly go through a reasonably proper stance. There'll be a lot of people out there that tell me I'm probably wrong, or they have 1,000 other opinions. It's all what feels good and works for you. We're going to go through like basic crap, I can't remember the name. Touch points, grounds, not, wherever you're gonna, where it feels, where you can put a muscle memory into it, where you know how it's gonna hit every time when you pull that bow back. Like for me, when I pull my bow back, my thumb knuckle goes just behind my right ear, and then the actual flight of the arrow sits in my mouth. Some people use kisser buttons for that. You find what works for you. So I'm gonna go ahead. And she's gonna, now I know, you're not supposed to have an arrow in it and pull it back, but I'm not getting shot in the face by a new hunter, okay, guys? So she's gonna go ahead and get set up, and she's gonna pull that arrow, pull it back like she's gonna fire.
Come on, Hope.
Okay, right there, everybody pulls their bows differently. And I'll get into that in a minute. Now you see how she's got it set up? But she knows that this is going to bury into her cheek. But she knows where her peep sight is. And how she's got her hand set so she knows where it touches her neck. Now I'm going to go ahead and let her put it back down. Now, that's the proper stance. She's got her nice wide stance. She's got her hip kicked back just a touch. She's got her arm fully extended with just that slight cock or turn into it so she doesn't do this number and hit her arm like I did first thing this morning. Great for a bow video that I actually have the mark to show what can happen when it goes wrong when a 70-pound bow hits your forearm. And she had it set, she knew where her set points were, so she was all set and ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and let her shoot an arrow now after I get out of the way. And we'll see, make sure that it wasn't her that faulted that last arrow that you just saw, or if it was actually, it needs to be a better sight. So I'll get out of the way, and she can have at it.
Thought I dropped my hand.
So she's gonna try again. This is what I mean by follow through, guys. She keeps on dropping her hand so she can see where her arrow went instead of just holding it there and just waiting until after it already hits. All right, that was a good one, but she was still, this time she was quite wide to the right.
So we learned today we must check all our equipment, follow safety protocols, maintain posture, and practice. It takes walk, but you will get it. Thanks for watching Outdoors with the Common Man. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and find us at www.ocmgear.com. Real videos for real people. Catch you next time.
Don't forget to stop by Worthington's for all your firearms and ammunition needs. When you stop by, mention Outdoors with the Common Man and receive a 5% discount off in your order. Thank you.
Who's going to get back to the basics before the season, whether you're a new hunter or one that's been around for a while, and might as well cut that shit and start it over again. Today we're going to go through the basics of bow hunting. Not bow, but bow. So that you can go ahead and get your bow sighted in. This video is going to be for beginners and fucking stupid. I'm not having her knock an arrow on her fucking piece and shoot me in the head.
By the way, I'm recording that. That's perfect.
Are you nuts? Talk about safety.